celebrate everything that's bombastic about James Bond. Let's look at Dr. No and the Bond formula. You might say that Dr. No is a poor example of the Bond formula, and there's a truth to that. A lot of the tropes of the series aren't present. There's no pre-title sequence, the music is a bit lackluster, the tone of the movie is very earthy, more like a real-world spy story, at least for the first half. But I think we can get a bit tripped up if we focus too much on a very specific formula. The Bond series has all sorts of movies, and it's flexible enough and daring enough to explore a variety of genres. As time goes on, different aspects of the Bond world get subbed in and out. For example, these days we expect the pre-title sequence to be a big dramatic action scene. But that happened for the first time in The Spy Who Loved Me, the 10th movie in the sequence. Another expected trope is that in the end, Bond saves the day and rescues the girl. But that was not the norm in the Connery era. Sure enough, Dr. No ends that way, but in From Russia with Love, Bond is saved by Tatiana. In Goldfinger, Felix Leiter saves Bond by disarming the nuclear bomb. In Thunderball, it's the Bond girl, Domino, who again gets in the critical kill. Bond certainly is in the thick of it. But more often than not, early on, it is the Bond ally who is saving Bond, not the other way around. And I think this is a real missed opportunity in the Brosnan era, particularly in Tomorrow Never Dies. Anyway, I prefer not to fit every Bond movie to a predetermined mould. I like to enjoy each movie as it is. And when it comes to Dr. No, that means there is no formula. There's no formula that the movie's trying to fit to. Dr. No is the Bond formula as of 1962. So, what have we got? An opening gun barrel. Innovative, zany, bombastic. I love it. Then the opening credits kick off with cool, suave, action-packed jazz music that we come to know and love as the Bond theme. This is the tone of the Bond world. The plot starts in our world. The space race was a huge thing in the 60s, especially because of its tie-in with nuclear ballistic missiles. This was what everyone was talking about, and that's where Dr. No starts. Almost all the Bond movies do this. But while a Bond movie may start with the issue of the day, it goes on to come up with some crazy, fantastic explanation as to why things are as they are. For example, why was the US having so much trouble getting those rockets working? Turns out it was Dr. No and Spectre. You could say the cameo of the portrait of the Duke of Wellington in Dr. No's lair was a brief example of this. There was a huge kerfuffle about this painting having been stolen, and what do you know? Dr. No has it. Not all Bond movies do this fantastical ending, For Your Eyes Only stays pretty grounded, for example. But Dr. No does it well, and it's bombastic fun. Then there's Sean Connery. He is the gentleman spy. He's into fine clothes, fine dining, and excesses of gambling and drink and what have you. But he's also cool and suave, and strong and deadly. And he's a sex symbol. It's that last one I want to focus on because I think a lot of people miss this. Most likely because most people talking about Bond these days are men. That was not the case when Sean Connery was Bond. When you see shots of people queuing up for Sean Connery movies, there were a lot of women in the line too, and not just as a date. Women went to see these movies for themselves. That is why they were so popular, and probably why the Bond series has never reached the same levels of popularity since Sean Connery stepped down. As one woman put it to me, Roger Moore is not as good looking as Sean Connery. Roger Moore is attractive in his own way, he's charming and witty, but he's no Sean Connery. Most people focus on the beautiful Bond girls, and they are gorgeous and titillating. But a big feature of the Bond formula early on, starting with Dr. No, was James Bond as a sex symbol for women. Women wanted to be with him, starting with Sylvia Trench, the very first Bond girl. But Bond doesn't woo her. She pursues Bond. She follows him out of the casino, chats him up, gets his phone number, breaks into his apartment, strips off and puts on one of his shirts. Even then, Bond tries to put her off because he has to leave on a mission. But she throws herself at him and Bond finally succumbs. In case you missed the point, when Bond is in his hotel in Jamaica, the receptionist can't help look Bond over as he walks away. Women can't keep their eyes off James Bond. Well, maybe that wouldn't fly today as a formula, but that was the formula that got Bond kick-started. So there's the bombastic Bond formula. It takes the troubles of your day and takes you on a fun journey with cool, suave, beautiful people into a fantastic world where all your problems are solved. It's Bond-bastic.